call the Terrible Warrior. And what a fight this is here in Las Vegas between two of the great fighters of the past decade. The question really with Nelson is he ready to be taken? This man who was so glittering throughout the 80s, can he sustain that far into the 90s? In one or two of his recent fights, he's looked far more mortal, more ordinary, and of course, against Jeff Fenech here, he faces a very, very stiff task indeed, because Fenech really is full of animal aggression in the ring, certainly the greatest fighter Australia has ever produced. Michael Marley from the New York Post with me here at ringside in temperatures of 92 degrees. What do you think about this one?
Well, you mentioned the awesome Aussie they call Jeff Fenech, and he has been, of course, the bugaboo of his career, brittle hands. He's broken both of his hands. He has a terrible history of hand problems, and I think that's the big question, the question looming large, you know, that could be the decisive factor. Are Fenech's hands fit, and is he ready for the experience likes of Azumah Nelson?
Fenech, twice retired in recent years. Here are the ring announcements.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of the international participants in our next featured bout, at this time I ask you to rise for the singing of the national anthems of their respective countries. First, on behalf of the challenger, we have the national anthem of Australia. Welcome in the ring to lead us, David Cazalet.
Crowd of 13,000 paying £500 for ringside seats, and most of them in shirt sleeves here as we await the national anthem.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, in honor of the defending champion, please remain standing for the national anthem of Ghana. And to lead us, welcome in the ring, this is Smith Archer.
God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong, bold to defend forever the cause of freedom or for right. Feel sweet root, humanity, make us fearless, cherish honesty, and help us to resist oppressors with all our strength and might forevermore. And help us to resist oppressors with all our strength and might forevermore.
Nelson tonight in his 16th world title fight. This man who's been a world champion for 7 years.
WBC Super Featherweight Championship of the World. This bout is sanctioned by the World Boxing Council President Jose Sulaiman and the supervisor Peter Stuckey. Introducing the officials as appointed. The judges at ringside, Miguel Donate, Dave Moretti, and Jerry Roth. And introducing the referee in charge of this bout, he will be giving instructions after the introductions, Joe Cortez. All right, fans, here we go. This is the WBC Super Featherweight Championship of the World, scheduled for 12 rounds of boxing. Introducing to you first on my right, the challenger fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing black trunks with white lettering and coming all the way from Sydney, Australia. His weight this evening is a ready 128.5 pounds, and his fine record is 25 wins, no losses, and 19 wins by way of knockout. He is currently ranked the #1 super featherweight contender by the WBC. Welcome, the three-time world champion, tonight making his debut on American soil, the undefeated Jeff Fenech. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the red corner, is the defending champion. He enters the ring wearing white trunks with red trim and hailing from Accra, Ghana. His weight is an even 130 pounds. His outstanding record includes 33 wins, only 2 losses, 25 wins by way of knockout. He is the 2-time world champion, tonight defending his WBC Super Featherweight title. Welcome the fighter known as the Mighty Warrior, Azumah Nelson. Here's your referee in charge, Joe Cortez.
Fenech. All right, gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want you to obey my commands at all times. I don't want any low punches. Watch your heads. Keep a clean fight. Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
Well, the referee there mentioned the rules, and it's worth just noting before we start here that the 3 knockdown rule does not apply. That is, if there are 3 knockdowns in one round of any one fighter, that does not mean an automatic stoppage. So there is Azumah Nelson, who's been fighting in world title bouts since as long ago as 1982, when he took on the late and great Salvador Sanchez. Lost that one, but how he's asserted himself since. Nelson in the white trunks, Jeff Fenech, the man who calls himself the Marrickville Mauler. That's the district of Sydney he comes from, in the black. And really starting to let go with some quite fierce-looking hooks to the body in the early stages. Fenech, an all-action, buzzsaw kind of a fighter, a real brawler. But Nelson, of course, possessed of dynamic punching power, particularly with the left hook, and British fans will remember the way he knocked Pat Caldwell cold in 2 minutes and 24 seconds, and more recently laid out Jim McDonnell in the 12th round.
The last 3 fights, though, for Azumah Nelson have been very disappointing. Last time he was here in Las Vegas, soundly outpointed by undisputed world lightweight champion Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, and basically that fight was a shutout. He then was disappointing in a fight in Australia against Juan Laporte. So you have to wonder, is Nelson on the decline at age 32?
Of course, another thing that's affected Nelson is the death of his wife from cancer last year, and he says that that's something he's found it very, very difficult to come to terms with in his life, and he's blamed some of his mediocre performances in the ring on that. And of course, it must be pretty difficult to get your life back together and concentrate on something like fighting. Looks like Fenech wants to go to the body in this first round, but he's walked into 1 or 2 pretty good hooks from Nelson.
Well, the thing about it that has made Azumah Nelson one of the world's best fighters over the past decade is that he can box and he can punch. He's a very solid puncher, but also a very slick and skilled boxer. 25 knockouts in his 34 pro bouts. I think Fenech, you mentioned he's a buzzsaw. He's got a slashing, mauling, sort of a mini Mike Tyson style. In fact, he and Tyson are quite friendly and both admire each other's ring skills.
seems it's a little bit open sometimes to the head punches, does Fenech, though. He tends to fight with his face a little bit. He's very aggressive, but his defense, well, it's not the best known to mankind.
Definitely not. And Nelson is a kind of an experienced and educated technical boxer who can take advantage of that.
Be interesting, too, to know just how they've managed with this big hand problem. That's a good shot from Nelson there, that left. Fenech, every time he throws a punch, it hurts him, and he cannot take painkillers, and here he really wants to go to war. And in this first round, Nelson has got a more cool, composed look about him. A bit wild, Fenech, and he's taken quite a few there to the head. He's a bit ring rusty, you know, as well. It goes the bell to end the first round, and for me, that was Nelson's round.
Oh, definitely, I agree. And the surprising thing was, it was Azumah Nelson on the attack towards the end of the round, and very successfully. He hammered Fenech, hit him with one good right hand, and sent him reeling back into the ropes, although Fenech was more surprised, I think, than hurt. Strong round, strong opening round for the old warrior, Azumah Nelson.
So there's Jeff Fenech in the corner, three-time world champion at 3 different weights, bantam, super bantam, and feather, looking for his 4th tonight and making his American debut. That's pretty surprising, Mike, isn't it?
Well, he's been over here before. He once knocked out a nightclub bouncer in Atlantic City, but this is his first official professional bout. There was that right hand that Azumah Nelson, and Nelson stepping right into the puncher's close quarters. Some good body punching by Fenech, but a left hook and a right hand by Nelson.
Well, Nelson's not used to people taking quite so many liberties, I don't think, when they face him, because they know about his punching power. Most people are a lot more cagey with him, but this fellow is quite prepared to stand and trade, and this could be a very, very good fight indeed. Certainly there wasn't much feeling of each other out in that first round, certainly not as far as Fenech was concerned. It was just instant warfare as far as he was concerned.
I'm just surprised, Ian, that Nelson mixed it up so soon. I thought he'd come out boxing early on and then look for some openings, but now he's boxing up on his toes and moving.
They both possessed of so much power, of course, these two. After that from Nelson, he almost fell off balance there.
Almost knocked himself to the canvas, but as you say, he was just off balance.
I was about to say, they've both got so much power that you doubt that this would go the distance, really. It would seem to be one that will end in a stoppage at some point.
Again, Fenech, as in the first round, appears to be a bit tight, nervous, and over-anxious.
A troubled look on Fenech's face when he's fighting. He always looks as if he's in some kind of distress, but talking to Johnny Lewis, his trainer, yesterday, he was saying that's just the way he is. It's like when some runners are running, they always look in pain, even when they're very, very comfortable. Good body shots there from Nelson, and mixing it up too with an uppercut inside.
Azumah Nelson wastes. He's very economical fighter. Wastes very few punches. He throws almost every punch with a decided purpose.
In the second round, Fenech just being a little cooler and a little bit more composed and concentrating on his defense just a shade more. He slipped one or two and trying to work behind his jab. I'm sure the corner will have told him that. He was there's a shade of desperation about his work in the first round.
You know, we mentioned the age. Azumah Nelson officially at age 32. There's long been speculation, however, that he's several years older, and he certainly looked an old fighter against undefeated and unblemished Pernell Whitaker, who really gave him a boxing lesson.
Of course, fighters do have this habit of trying to knock years off their age, particularly when they start getting older. I remember Marvin Hagler suddenly finding that birth certificate that said he was 2 years younger.
You know, a little harder to trace a birth record in Ghana.
Good jab there from Nelson. Nelson, by the way, was a Commonwealth gold medalist as an amateur in the same year as Barry McGuigan back in 1978. What a pity that those two never got together in the professional ring. It was mooted often enough, it never happened.
It appears to me, Ian, that Nelson's been scoring well to the nose area of Jeff Fenech. Don't actually see blood, but the nose of Fenech appears reddish.
Back they go to the corner at the end of the second round. Nice composed look about Nelson. He really is a consummate professional. There he is in the corner. Professional record 134, lost 2, and only 8 people have managed to go the distance with him. His 6th defense of this super featherweight title. And before that, of course, he was the featherweight champion at 9 stone between 1984 and 87, around the time that Barry McGuigan was holding a rival version of the championship. So, fantastic record.
I gave a slight edge in the second round in to Azumah Nelson, and I've got him ahead very unofficially 20-18. But certainly Fenech did some scoring in that round and a far better effort than the opening round for Jeff Fenech.
So about to come out in round 3. There's quite a wind blowing off the Nevada desert here, I'd have to tell you. We're open air. The local time is around 5 to 7 in the evening, and the temperature, well, it must still be about 85 degrees. And Nelson, that's a good right from him there. Just buckled the legs of Fenech a bit. Now Fenech wanting to trade with him, but in those exchanges, Nelson looks to be landing the sharper punches, and this so far has been quite an impressive performance from the Ghanaian.
Well, some people had written Nelson off as a too ancient warrior, but he's been very slick so far this evening. And when Fenech does get inside, watch how Nelson ties him up very cleverly.
He was odds against to win this fight, Nelson, and when was the last time that must have happened? Well, against Pernell
Whitaker would be the last time, and those odds stood up quite fine.
That was when he moved up to lightweight, of course. Good right there from Fenech in that exchange.
The best punch that Fenech's landed, I can't tell. I think Nelson's a bit shook up. Not in trouble, but just shook up a little.
Fenech tends to follow in his punches with the head as well. I know they were worried about that at the rules meeting in the Nelson camp. His head coming closer. This is a good burst now from Fenech. This is his best 20 or 30 seconds of the fight. He started with that right, which did shake Nelson up a bit. So is the tide just starting to turn a little bit here? Now Fenech is really starting to turn on that all aggression, all action style, and Nelson wants to get off those ropes, and quick. Third round, and Fenech staging a comeback after, we think, losing the first 2, but look at Nelson come back at him.
Referee Joe Cortez is letting them fight because they are fighting on the inside and with hands free.
Blood underneath the left eye of Fenech, and I think that may have been a clash of heads as well. It happened there as the heads were coming close together, and we'll have a look in the corner to see how serious that is. It looks fairly serious, quite a bad gash under the left eye. And now Nelson starting to counter quite well off those ropes. He took quite a few earlier in the round, the heads coming close together. Look at this, all-out attrition, and he is careless with the head, is Fenech, and he may have paid the penalty himself for the clash of heads. Blood very thick from underneath his left eye.
Excellent left uppercut in there by Nelson, zeroing in on the blood. Now Fenech comes back.
And Fenech now, he's had Nelson pinned there for fully 90 seconds. This is an extraordinary little episode in the fight. Fenech trying to unload, Nelson countering occasionally, but this really is one of the great little rounds in the super featherweight division of recent times.
They're boxing and fighting, slugging rather, in such a small territory. It's as though they were fighting inside a telephone booth.
Yes, it really is the old fight in a phone booth, this, isn't it? And that blood underneath the eyes. Nelson ends the round with a left hook, and Fenech tries to throw one after the bell and wants to continue it. Bad feeling, bad blood in there, and literally blood flowing from Fenech's eye. What a round that was. Ring doctor Flip Homansky is taking a look at Fenech's eye at this moment. Now, the blood is underneath the eye. You can see it there. Great close-up shot that our cameramen have got for you. Underneath that left eye. Now, it's not going to be too much of a problem because the blood isn't flowing into the eye.
It's precisely. It's not obscuring the vision. It's underneath the eye. And that round, it was a whirlwind round. Here's some of the action. They traded freely. There's Nelson with a long right hand, the left, and Fenech back drills him with a right hand. An excellent punch by Fenech. I gave Fenech a slight edge in the round, and I've got it 2-1 in favor of Nelson.
Yes, I think it was undoubtedly Fenech's round, that last one. It was a great right that got him right back into the fight, and he was unloading on Nelson in the corner. The Ghanaian countered quite well, but Fenech's round that third, we think, anyway. Of course, it's not our opinion that really matters, it's the opinion of the three judges, but we like to keep you up to date with the way we're seeing it right here at ringside at the Mirage in Las Vegas, Nevada. This action coming to you live on the Sky Movie Channel. Stay tuned, of course, for Tyson Ruddock later on. Well, Nelson in this round was just getting on his bike. I think they couldn't really have kept up that close quarter brawling of the last round.
Well, it's certainly not to the advantage of Nelson. He wants to brawl and then box, brawl and then box, mix up his attack. And Fenech's got him in the same place again, Ian.
They do like that little square inch of the ring, don't they? Nelson, it surprises me. He seems quite happy to stay there and play the countering game on the ropes. But I'm not sure these are the best tactics for him. But
well, I would guess. I mean, it doesn't take. The cut is open again underneath the. It's the left eye of Jeff Fenech. It hasn't been busted wide open. I think that's why Nelson wants to stay there, because in close he can bust that cut open again, and he has.
Well, the action not quite as frenetic as in that last round, but again they're in that same corner of the ring. Nelson covering up well there. Look at the way he's getting his arms and gloves up, covering the face, and it's often very, very difficult for the judges to score this. How many of those punches are actually landing? Try and score it yourself if you can, and you've got a better view than the judges at ringside, because that camera is almost right in there with them.
The camera doesn't lie. You mentioned the roughhouse buzzsaw style of Jeff Fenech. You watch him. He works with the elbows. He works with his head. He doesn't use only the gloves. He'll use any weapon he can.
Every fight for this Australian is like a street fight outside the pub on a Saturday night.
I guess that's why they call him the mini Mike Tyson, because Tyson operates the same way.
Also called him the Thunder from Down Under. I like that one.
Like that one. Nelson landed a stinging left uppercut to the point of the chin, but Fenech keeps pouring in.
Tough round to score this one. Fenech has had Nelson on those ribs, and I think these American judges will score it for Fenech on the aggression. But look at this countering from Nelson, and now it's Fenech who's got to cover up. Now it's Fenech on the ropes. Back he comes with another volley. Well, we thought this might be a great fight, and it's turning out to be exactly that.
Another good right uppercut by Nelson. You know, the volume of punches have been Fenech, but it's Nelson that's landing the harder punches, I believe.
Well, it'll be very interesting later to see how the judges scored that fourth round, because it was Nelson who was trapped against the ropes. But as Michael Marley was telling you, I think the quality of his counter-punching probably was better than the punches that Fenech was getting through with. And maybe that was Nelson's round at tough old one to score, as I keep on saying.
I differ with you, old chap. I scored that round for Mr. Fenech slightly, and I've got it a draw after 4 rounds.
Interesting. So it makes the world go round, I guess.
Absolutely, and I'm sure the judges are probably disagreeing, even as we do.
So there's the scene at ringside, all sorts of celebrities taking their seats. Those seats you can see there, right close to the ring, cost the equivalent of £500, by the way. You do need a little bit of money to get into these fights. We're privileged, as World Media, to see them for free.
Ian, of course, with all the money you win in the casino, it's a profitable trip for you. But you mentioned Nelson not moving about the ring as he's been known to do in the past. I think that what he's trying to do, he is an older fighter, and I think he's probably trying to save his legs for the later rounds. He's trying to conserve his energy.
5th round, this. Nelson, just the color check to remind you, in the white trunks. The champion making his 6th defense, and Fenech looking for his 4th world title. Between them, these two have had 26 world title fights.
Really would be a breakthrough victory. Not only is it Fenech's American debut, and America is where the money is in professional boxing, but to beat a long-established class champion like Azumah Nelson would be quite a feather in the cap of Jeff Fenech.
Well, it's right what you say, America being where the money is, but I think he's made plenty in Australia under the promotional banner of Bill Mordy.
He's done well over there, but I think, you know, the pay-per-view television situation is bigger here, and he's now Morty joined forces with Don King, so Fenech's here to get the gold.
And once again, the same scenario. Nelson on the ropes, Fenech trapping him there, trying to wing in with those hooks, Nelson countering.
They do love that one little corner of the ring, don't they? That neutral corner just above us. One of the few times referee Joe Cortez has had to sort them out.
Corner have done quite a good job on that cut underneath the eye of Fenech. It's more or less dried up for the moment anyway. And that's a good right from Fenech there. And Nelson really is playing a dangerous game. If he carries on taking those heavy shots to the head while he's trapped there, surely they must take their toll on the 32-year-old.
Jeff Fenech is nothing if not persistent. Good left hook by Nelson. Good, and another good left hook and a right hand by Azumah Nelson. The same pattern, Ian.
But the volume of punches is coming from Fenech, who's leaning on. Every time Nelson tries to sort of come out of there, Fenech barges him back in, pins him against the ropes, and starts off with another volley of punches. Extraordinary fight this, because probably 70% of it now has taken place in exactly that little square foot.
That's their neighborhood, and it's been quite a turf war and really a torrid pace between these two little fellows.
Really has been an outstanding division, this, in recent years, what with these two around and the likes of Brian Mitchell as well, the South African, and of course Lopez, who fights out of Sacramento, Tony Lopez. And that bell goes to end the round. How did you have that one, Mike?
I gave that round to the awesome Aussie, Jeff Fenech, again by a slight margin, but I now have Fenech ahead by 1 point.
There's Mike Tyson in his dressing room, warming up, wandering around in that familiar style, oblivious seemingly to just about everything else. And with Razum Ruddock on his mind, well, he looks just like a caged tiger there, doesn't he?
Perspiring freely, and that's usually a good sign for Tyson. When he works up a good sweat, comes into the ring, he's loose and ready to fire.
I'll tell you what, if he wasn't fighting tonight, he'd love to be out here watching this Fenech-Nelson fight, because this is a fight that we're watching that would top any other bill anywhere in the world. That's the view you have of the arena at the Mirage, an extraordinary venue with exploding volcanoes and fountains and white tigers and goodness knows what else. Sixth round of a really absorbing and ferocious fight for the WBC Super Featherweight title. Jeff Fenech in the black trunks, the Australian three-time world champion, and Azumah Nelson, who's been a world champ at 2 weights, the terrible warrior from Africa in the white. And one of the rare bursts of action out in center ring.
Well, again, Nelson following his familiar pattern. He seems to take one round where he's at close quarters with Fenech. Then the next round he'll start boxing a little bit, and that's what he's doing here, jabbing and boxing.
But it is an elusive, attritional kind of battle, this one. They've both been landing with some solid looking hooks to the head, almost as if they're challenging each other to say, my punch power is better than yours, I'll wear you down before you wear me down.
You know, this physical strength of these two men is deceiving. You look at their size and you think, you know, they're two little tiny guys, but there's a warning from Joe Cortez. I think he pushed Fenech, that is, either pushed or cuffed Azumah Nelson. But that's really the first thing that Joe Cortez has had to warn anybody out, except for one round where Fenech threw a late blow, responding to what he thought was a late blow by Nelson.
But Fenech really is a brawler, as you said earlier. He follows his punches in with the elbows, the head. You really know you've been in a fight with this guy. And once again, he traps Nelson on the ropes, and this is a good body punch, and then a right this time. Fenech getting the better of the exchange.
I must remark, Ian, Fenech's defense seems improved to me. You noted earlier that defense is not his strong suit, but he is moving his head a little bit, blocking some blows, and a little sharper defensively than I've seen him.
Well, the question must be, can Nelson stay this kind of pace in this grueling kind of a fight for 12 rounds at his advanced years?
We don't know how far advanced. Some people will say he's 32 going on 36, but be that as it may, he looks pretty sprightly with his legs right now.
Happy to try and keep things at range with his jab, try to keep Fenech off with the jab, but that is a very, very difficult thing to do, as countless opponents have found out. He just walks right past jabs. I think they're probably just both glad of a little breather in this round, maybe.
Well, there you see that leaping again by Nelson early on. I think in round 2 he almost fell to the canvas leaping like that.
Strange punch that is from Nelson. He kind of switches southpaw for a split second, throws out a right, and never seems to quite land with it. Back in the corner, they're working on the eye of Jeff Fenech there. Fenech with a professional record, 125, lost naught. In fact, his last defeat of any kind was in America at the 1984 Olympic Games, when he was beaten in the quarterfinal. I remember interviewing him after that fight, and he turned the air blue with the expletives that he came out with. We had to record it 16 times before they could use it in Australia.
I gave that last round, Ian, to Azumah Nelson on his boxing skill in the round, and I've got it a draw at the halfway mark after 6 rounds of a scheduled 12 rounder. I've got it even, Steven.
That's exactly the way I've got it as well.
Now that's a miracle at the Mirage.
Coming out for the 7th round then. Fenech on the left of your picture. Brutal rounds around the 3rd, 4th and 5th. That 6th fought more at long range.
As you said, I think that round really gave both men a much-needed breather.
Azumah Nelson, Taylor's son from Accra, though his career has been largely based in the United States under the promotional banner of Don King. Well, in the last couple of rounds, they've both been trying to work behind their jab a little bit more, and when it's at long range, Nelson just looks slightly the classier.
He's a little sharper, he's got the better jab, and again, the better movement.
Nelson has been in some pretty tough fights of late, and long-distance ones too. I remember the one with Jim McDonnell in London, where McDonnell pushed him a lot closer than many people thought beforehand. And I think that fight, he would privately agree, Nelson took quite a bit out of him.
Of course, you know, the fight that many boxing fans will always recall, a losing effort for Azumah Nelson against the late, great Salvador Sanchez.
When he came in at very short notice and gave Sanchez all the trouble he could handle, too, for 15 rounds. Nelson, first a world champion back in 1984 when he knocked out another of the modern greats, Wilfredo Gomez. Fenech here. He's got Nelson in his favorite place in a corner, and he's trying to let go with those hooks again. Good work this from Fenech. Always looks better when it's the barroom brawl style close in, doesn't he?
That's where Fenech does his best work, in the telephone box. It's as if he has, at many points in this fight, as if he's got Azumah painted into the corner.
That's a good right. Got that right through into the head, and then a couple of body shots as well. Fenech's round so far, this one.
Ian, if the heavyweights, Tyson and Ruddock, can fight at this frenetic pace, we're going to see one heck of a heavyweight fight. Because these guys have been busy right from the get-go.
That's a good left hook there, countering from Nelson on the ropes. But the volume of work in this round, particularly in the last couple of minutes of it, has come from Fenech. That's another decent left, though. Now, this is the problem the judges have as they work in close. They have to judge the volume of the punches, the quality of the punches, and try to pick a winner of the round.
And again, you know, one of the four main factors in judging, obviously, aggression, but it's supposed to be effective aggression, and you'd have to say that Jeff Fenech's aggression has been effective. I gave that round to Fenech, and I assume you did as well.
Yep, I'd go along with that, Michael. Well, there's Nelson in the corner, and I'm sure what they're saying to him there, he's got Jose Buffalo Martin, who also trains Julio Cesar Chavez in there. I think they're saying that if he can keep it at range, so much the better for him. But Nelson, I don't know, do you think possibly he's taking these breaks on the ropes because he just doesn't want to go this fierce pace center ring?
Well, I think he is consciously pacing himself, definitely. I think he certainly is.
All sorts of celebrities at ringside.
Bruce Willis, the famed actor at ringside. And Thomas Hitman Hearns just strolled in. He's missed a pretty good fight.
I'm surprised he's missing this. Clint Eastwood is there somewhere as well. And MC Hammer, Mr. T. It's amazing the way the Mike Tyson Fight Nights draw out the celebrities who fly in from Hollywood. 8th round then. Close fight for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship. Not very much in it at this stage, I would think. Who's got the legs, the pace for this second half of the contest? It's been fairly grueling so far.
We talked about Nelson perhaps consciously pacing himself. He looks fresh to me.
Both look in tremendous shape, I must say. Finely honed, well muscled, just as you'd expect.
These are two classy, experienced world champions, and really referee Joe Cortez been kind of a day at the beach for him. He's had very rarely breaks them up there, and Fenech gets a little rough on the inside, but he's really had to break them up rarely.
Nelson just working behind his jab, but not a lot in that jab, quite honestly. It's a token sort of range-finding jab. It looks as if he needs to follow it up with something a bit more meaty.
Well, Nelson is up on his toes when he throws that left hand. You see him missing with the right hand. He has a tendency to get up on his toes off balance and can't generate much power.
I think the better quality punching is coming from Fenech in this round. That was a good right from him. He got that one through. Nelson had the gloves up, thudded into the side of the face of Azumah Nelson.
At the risk of being repetitive, again, the pattern's been the same from the start. The volume of punches, you see them there, thrown by is about 3 to 4 to 1, I think, Jeff Fenech's favor. But every so often, Nelson comes back with a good countering shot. There you see some pushing. They really have been physical inside. It's been a rough and grueling bout.
Just get the impression at this stage that Fenech is just that bit more busy, isn't he?
Well, he's the younger man. He's been busier. He should have more left, but, you know, and Nelson clinching smartly there, but Azumah Nelson doesn't look like a wilted flower to me.
Good defensive skills from him there, using his footwork on the ropes. Poking out his jab, but it's certainly not a ramrod punch at all. And there's that right coming through again from Fenech. Fenech, who just never, ever takes a backward step. Has he ever taken one, you wonder, in his career, as he goes back to the corner? And I think that was his round again.
Just on the volume of punches, again, he took the play away from Nelson. And we see Donovan Razor Ruddock with his brother and manager, Delroy Ruddock. He's using Delroy's shoulder as his punching bag.
I'm glad he's not doing that to me. That is going to ache tomorrow morning, isn't it?
Is that what they call brotherly love?
There is Razor Ruddock, who hit the scales at 17 stone, heaviest ever, and that might affect his mobility. Maybe it's some kind of strategy they worked out in the camp, being charitable. Maybe it means that his training was less than monastic. We're going to find out pretty soon. There is the old hitman himself, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, back in the town where Well, so many of his great battles have been staged. What's he trying to tell us?
I think he's saying that he wants to be a champion in 6 weight classes.
Heavyweight next?
You know, he joked around about cruiserweight. I don't know if he'll go so far as to try the heavyweight division.
Wouldn't put anything past that guy. Now, 9th round. Azumah Nelson, the champion in the white trunks. Jeff Fenech challenging him from Australia, but Fenech very much an established world champion, pedigree fighter himself, of course.
With 4 rounds to go, Ian, I've got Fenech ahead by 2 points on my scorecard. How do you have it?
That's exactly the way I'm scoring it. 2 points ahead for Fenech at this stage. That's the unofficial Mike Marley, Ian Dark scorecards. But of course, it's the judges that count.
The key word being unofficial.
Nelson on his bike again, trying to poke out his jab, even switch hitting a bit, going southpaw. Trying to be nice and mobile. Fenech all the time looking to close the range, pin Nelson against the ropes.
We've seen Nelson, you know, switch up very briefly from a right-handed stance to back to the southpaw and then quickly back to the conventional stance. I don't see why he does it. It doesn't seem to faze Fenech at all. Fenech just keeps moving ahead.
Well, he's almost on rails, isn't he? Fenech? He's like an express train.
Freight train headed your way.
And non-stop as well. Messy kind of around this one so far. Probably the least impressive of the contest so far. I think very clean landed.
They're really entitled to an off round. You know, they've the pace has been so great.
Last year, Don King tried to relinquish this title on behalf of Azumah Nelson, who was quite furious about it and just would not let that happen. He
always the last to know, the champions.
It's absolutely true, that. Could tell you a few stories. Right uppercuts inside, and Fenech again there. Busy. Nelson missing with quite a few of that little volley, kind of showboaty type punches with not too much in. And again, you see Fenech got the gloves up and stopped that right.
And you see blood now on the right side of Jeff Fenech, on actually both sides of his face, on both cheeks. I don't know if it's from the eye or from the nose area now, but again, I don't think it'll be much of a factor.
Nelson once again on the ropes. Fenech landing with the right. Nelson looking to counter off there, looking for the gaps as Fenech throws those punches. But I think even, well, they must be tiring now. Obviously, this is the 9th round, and it's been an unrelenting kind of pace. There goes the bell to end the round, and they're fighting on afterwards. Now, that was quite deliberate on Fenech. Now, he must have a point deducted, I would think, for that, because he'd been stopped once, and then he tried to throw another punch. Now, what is Joe Cortez going to do about that? He must do something.
I think he is. Let's see, or is he giving a final warning?
Well, he's warning both of them, and I don't think there's going to be any deduction.
I think let's see, he's going over to the judges now. He's not deducting a point. I think he's saying, hey, that's it, guys. Enough of that after the bell action. Next time, it's going to cost somebody a point.
There is, in fact, a 2-point deduction for an intentional foul. That is rarely invoked, that, but I don't know there. You see, he had, Fenech had, is this the action again?
There you see it. They were wrestling after the bell. An angry Fenech. I didn't see a late blow by Azumah Nelson. I just think emotions were running high.
Now, timeout the referee's taken here because Nelson is slowly out of his corner and the bucket's still in there. So, well, I think Azumah Nelson, and I think for Fenech for that matter, will relish the extra 15 seconds or so rest. Coming out for the 10th round.
3 rounds to go, Ian. I've got Fenech up. I gave him the last round, and they've lost the mouthpiece of Azumah Nelson. That's apparently the problem. That's the delay, and I wonder if that's a trick, an old trainer's trick. We lost the mouthpiece. The dog ate the mouthpiece.
The gloves were slit.
Yeah.
All sorts of things can happen, and they've bought whatever happens here, now the best part of another minute's rest for Azumah Nelson in between the rounds. Is this smart work from Jose Buffalo Martin in the corner, or was the
There's
mouthpiece?
the mouthpiece.
Suddenly it's produced.
Either that or a substitute mouthpiece.
I think it was a new one, courtesy of the WBC. I'll send the invoice to Azumah Nelson later. He can just about afford them. This is the 10th then, the belated 10th.
And you have to wonder what they're telling Nelson in the corner again. You know, my unofficial card, I've got Fenech up by 3 points.
Now, once again there was a suspicion of something illegal from Fenech. The crowd made a lot of noise about it. I didn't think it was really too much. Oh, it's good right over the top of the gloves from Fenech into the side of Nelson's head. Now, is Azumah Nelson here on the way to only the 3rd defeat of a proud and long professional career? It's getting to the stage, isn't it, Michael, here, where Azumah Nelson needs to do something quite dramatic.
He's like a horse, a racehorse, who needs to make a stretch run. You have to wonder, though, is this horse too old to make that stretch run?
Well, we've seen it in the past with Nelson. We've seen him stop people in the very last round like Mario Martinez and Jim McDonnell. He certainly knows how to pace a fight, this guy.
Late round lightning, you're absolutely right. That's one of Azumah Nelson's trademarks. But again, the roughness of this bout, you know, they're not, I don't think they're great friends at this point. But there's Nelson coming back a little bit. But I really think he needs to rally strongly.
And Nelson getting his elbows and gloves up well to block the punches. Coming back with his own counters. They both landed with some tremendous shots in this contest. It's a tribute really to the conditioning of both of them and the fact that they've both got rock solid chins. Must have, because these are two stoppage merchants. Most other opponents they knock them out, stop them.
But along the ropes now, Nelson is playing again into Jeff Fenech's potent hands. Jeff Fenech is the younger, stronger man, and this is his game. This is what he likes to do.
You see, I think by lying there, particularly the way they score the fights over here, and you'll know more about this than me, Michael, it makes Fenech look as if he's on top, doesn't it?
Exactly. Perception can be more important than reality in boxing judging, definitely. Nelson definitely gaining no points for having his back to the ropes.
You see, in a round as tight as this, even if Nelson is countering well off those ropes, it will look as if Fenech is making the running and has got Nelson back there, even if Nelson is actually choosing to be there.
Well, he's letting Fenech basically steal this round and not really offering much in the way of his own offense.
Give credit to Fenech, though. He set a very, very fast pace in the fight, and he's made Nelson work very, very hard all the way. And look, oh! Two balls and a submission stuff.
A takedown, and Nelson gets up smiling. That was an acrobatic bit that was not on the schedule.
Well, there's a job for him with the World Wrestling Association, isn't there?
You know, fortunately, we joke about it, but fortunately Nelson wasn't hurt because he went down to the canvas very hard.
Well, Nelson, Michael Marley and I think you've got it 4 rounds ahead to Fenech at this stage, and that's how I'm seeing it too. So there's only 2 to go. We reckon, now look, here it is again.
Up and over, and down goes Nelson on his back. Again, fortunately, did not land on his head because he might have suffered a serious injury. Landed flat on his back.
Let's just have a look what happened there. He missed with the right.
Missed.
It was his own fault, really.
That shows you the difference in strength. I mean, Jeff Fenech is a very, very strong young man.
Well, Jeff Fenech, even his own trainer, Johnny Lewis, said he can be a wonderful friend, but he can also be the most terrifying and vicious person alive. That's his own trainer talking.
Ask the nightclub bouncer who he knocked out in Atlantic City.
And Fenech at the time was 9 stone, and the nightclub bouncer was 18 stone.
An over-the-weight match. In my view, in yours, I guess, as well, judging by your scorecard, Ian, Fenech's in control here, and I just don't understand why Nelson's not making the stronger stretch run.
Well, I think
it may be age. Yeah, that maybe doesn't have that much left in his petrol tank.
Nelson firing out his jab. when he's got the fight at long range like that, he is more impressive with the jab, but it's not the kind of punch that's going to worry the kind of fighter that Fenech is at all. Fenech is definitely the kind of fellow you would not want to pick any kind of argument with at any stage, even by letter.
Once objected to something I wrote in the column about him, Ian. In seconds after he brought the subject up, I was fully in agreement with Jeff that I had erred in a very bad way, and I would not do that again.
You were a brave man to do it in the first place.
He's a very persuasive fellow.
As Nelson is finding out here. Nelson doing a bit more, though, in this round. I'm sure the corner will have told him that you're slipping behind on points here, and I think he'll know that himself.
Well, he's trying to load up with punches now, winging some wide, wild punches. I don't think they're going to get the job done at this point.
Because you never know how the judges are seeing things. Sometimes they see a different fight to the people at ringside. Look at that fight last week between Chris Eubank and Michael Watson in Britain, if you want recent examples.
But, Ian, I think you've keyed in on a major factor. Oh, good shot by Fenech. Nelson looks hurt.
And he's suddenly just a little bit more stiff-legged as well.
I was saying, I think you had keyed in on a major factor, and that's been the constant aggression, the aggressive tactics of Jeff Fenech. I think they've scored a lot of points.
Fenech just a little bit ragged there in his aggression. He threw about 5 punches. They all just hit the Las Vegas evening air. They can tire you out. But Fenech just keeps on coming forward. He's not really done too much in this round. He did score that really good shot about a minute or so ago that Mike picked out for you.
Well, I think Fenech is huffing and puffing a little bit, taking a blow here. He's tired, as is Nelson, and they have to be at the pace they've fought.
Well, if ever Azumah Nelson needed to produce that chilling left hook come uppercut, it's right now. As the bell goes to end the 11th round. Close round, I think, that one. Might have been even. I think I'd score that one even. I've got Fenech a long way ahead, though, at this point. And I reckon Azumah Nelson here, the 32-year-old Ghanaian, needs the knockout, Michael.
I wonder, it's the final round of this scheduled 12-round title bout. And, I just wonder if it's the final chapter for that man who's been a great ring warrior, Azumah Nelson. I think he's really got to stage a rally here, and he may be too far behind to win anyway except by knockout.
There's that right from Fenech. It was a kind of a glancing blow. That was a better, though, left hook. That landed reasonably flush. Fenech, he looks even tougher, doesn't he, with that kind of designer stubble that he has as well. He really does look a ferocious proposition as they come out now for the 12th and final round. They touch gloves. A lot of mutual respect between those two fighters in there now. They both know that they're in with another great champion. Azumah Nelson from Ghana, we reckon, needs the concussive knockout punch here to turn this around. Can he find it in this last round?
Fenech bleeding again about the face. Looks to be from either that cut under the left eye or the nose area. Now he's racing across the ring to get at Nelson.
This is an astonishing performance again from Fenech, considering he's only been in a ring once and only for 4 rounds in the last 19 months. A man who twice retired because he just couldn't stand the constant use of painkillers for his hands. Is he coming back now to win a 4th world title? It looks like it.
We talked about his history of terrible hand problems and surgery on the hands. But you've got to, no pun intended, or maybe intended, you've got to hand it to him. A stirring performance here tonight.
Fenech himself likens his style to a young Roberto Duran.
Maybe that's why he has the beard.
Look at him letting go again. Still working unrelentingly in this last round. And Nelson, where he's been so often in the contest, trapped on the ropes, trying to counter. But it really is like trying to keep a tiger off you.
You know, Ian, I'm no fistic fortune teller, but I have to believe the judges have Fenech pretty out in front by a comfortable margin.
I think they'll be uproar at ringside if Nelson is given this, particularly, of course, as he is a Don King fighter, and Fenech is fighting away from home. An Australian making his Las Vegas and American professional debut. And to me, it looks like a winning one, unless Nelson's got something in the tank in the last few seconds. It was always going to be a mountainous task, really, for Azumah Nelson at 32 years of age to take on a man as ferocious and aggressive as this little sawn-off shotgun, Jeff Fenech. Oh, that was a fine straight right again. That's shaken Nelson up. Is he going to go here right in the closing stages? Bravely, he tries to find the heart to hold on, but he was hurt, and hurt quite badly by that cluster from Nelson, who pushes him and shoves him and really gives him a rough time. And again there, he's shaken up. Nelson here may be close to going, but he ends on his feet, and he may not have lasted much more than another 10 seconds or so. Look at the hugs of appreciation at the end of that brutal and grueling 12 rounds. There may have been animosity at times there, but they both know that they were two great champions, and I think, well, look, I think that's phony bravado in the Nelson corner. They must know that Fenech has got that.
An explosive finish, the closing seconds of the 12th and final round. Really, the finest moment on a fine night for Jeff Fenech, the awesome Aussie, as he likes to be known, the Thunder from down under. There's some of his Australian supporters up in the crowd here at the Mirage Hotel. I don't think there's much question here. I've been shocked before, and I'm sure you have at ringside as well, but clearly to me, Jeff Fenech, we're going to see that explosive finish.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Fenech has lost this, it's going to be the biggest shock in boxing since last Saturday.
2 lead rights, and he had Nelson struggling, holding on for dear life.
Nelson really was very, very close to being knocked out here in the last half a minute of the contest. Look at that right. He did well to stay on his feet from that. And another one. And another one. How did he take those? 3 crunching right hands from Fenech, and Nelson is still in the vertical position somehow.
Sometimes I think pride can hold a guy up, and Azumah Nelson has to have a lot of pride. He's been a great champion over the years, but boom, those lead right hands. And, you know, had he not been backed against the ropes, he may have gone down there.
I think that was a 10-8 round for Fenech, the last one. Just about.
Arguably, you can make a good case for that.
We're going to get the decision any moment from ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr., son of a very famous ring announcer in the United States, now carving out his own career in it. There is Fenech with his wife and child, and here it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I read the decision, we've all seen an outstanding 12-round title fight. No matter who the winner is, they both deserve a big round of applause for their efforts. Azumah Nelson and Jeff Fenech. Well, fans, after 12 rounds of boxing, we have a split decision, and here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Jerry Roth, scores the bout 115-113 for Jeff Fenech. Judge at ringside, Miguel Donate, scores the bout 116-112 Azumah Nelson. And judge at ringside, Dave Moretti, scores the bout 114-114, a draw. The decision is even.
That is, again, for the second week running in boxing, unbelievable. And look at what Fenech thinks of that. Once again, I said this last week, I cannot believe, really, that those judges could score that contest in that way. Unbelievable.
Ian, my scorecard, 116-112 for Jeff Fenech. I thought Fenech won the fight clearly by 4 points. I'm surprised the crowd hasn't reacted more negatively. Jeff Fenech is, I guess Don King is happy. Now he can just make another rematch. Well, but I think Azumah Nelson has to be surprised.
Fenech, I think, is quite flabbergasted. Let's see if we can hear what Azumah Nelson is saying.
That's right, that's right. The guy is very tough, you know, and he's always coming, you know. Sometimes he's pushing me, holding me, you know. So sometimes if I'm in the corner, I can get a chance to, go inside.
But those corners, why did you stay on the corner? This guy was taking advantage of you on the corner.
Yeah,
why did you move?
I love the corner, you know, because I want him to stand up pound for pound, you know, but the way he fight, he lay on me all the time, and, you know, you can't get a distance to, hit the...
All the more reason to get out and box. You go out boxing him in the middle of the round, in the middle of the ring. Why didn't you out box him?
Yeah,
why take that punishment?
I'm too conditioned, you know. I don't feel the punches, you know, and I just want to set him up, and
Did you feel he fought a dirty fight?
A little bit, you know, not like the way he fought in Australia, you know. He fought a little bit. Sometimes he just putting my head down.
Well, listen, I was saying I think this might have been your last fight, but apparently you're thinking to keep on going because you got a draw here.
Well, we won it. Well, I want to
Carl,
give him.
You're brave.
I want to give him one more chance, you know, because I want to prove myself that I'm the best.
Very good.
Yeah.
You've always been a great champion, and you're an honorable man.
Thank you
so
very much.
we hope we see you again, but not too many more times. and back to Steve.
Azumah Nelson, a lovely man and a great dignified character and champion, but we are very, very surprised here. I know Eddie Schuyler, sitting in front of me from the Associated Press, very respected figure in American boxing. He scored it level as a draw. Michael Marley and I both had Fenech as big winners, and I know Colin Hart from The Sun in England, I just had a quick word with him, he had Fenech as a big winner as well, and I think the crowd were pretty upset. Dr. Ferdy Pacheco it was who was doing the interview.
They were very close and very difficult
with
rounds to score.
Azumah Nelson. We're going to hear Jeff Fenech, I hope, in a moment and get his views. It may have to be an expletive deleted job. Here he is.
Promoter Don King just said this was one of the great fights we have seen. No question, your courage is unquestioned. Your boxing ability is encouraged. No question, I never saw a guy with the energy you've got. Now, Don King is one of the premier promoters. You just said something to me.
Yes, I said this is too good a fight. There is no loser. This fight has got to be a return match.
And you just said let's do another 12 right now.
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Put the gloves on,
let's do it now.
You thought you were ahead of this fight.
And you was ahead.
Well, in the last round, you fought so tough that it looked like you thought you were desperate to win, but you were actually ahead.
I'm desperate to throw punches all the time. That's my plan. I don't taper off. I don't try to slow down because I'm winning. I'm not like that. I want to win right till the end, and I thought I'd done that.
Let me tell you, you have only fought in American television twice. This is one of the premier promoters in television. Had this guy been fighting on television in America with that style, where would it be in popularity?
It would be slowing, but we're going to make sure it gets into that style because we're going to let them play the delayed tape. But I'm going to tell you something, Jeff. You fought excellent. There is no loser. I told everybody in the country that will listen to me this was going to be the richest fight of the evening, that you were a Tasmanian devil, a thunder from down under, that you would come in for a war, and a war you fought him. Can't nobody question that.
Right,
12 complete rounds of fighting.
Right.
I'll come back and fight him in 2 months. As long as I'm the main event here and I fight here, no problems.
Jeff, I'm sorry that you had this unpleasant event, but let me tell you, won the hearts in America of the boxing public. Don't go home with your head down because you did fight a wonderful fight. Let's see you again.
Well, that's the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, Ali's old doctor, of course, now a famous analyst at